Right, apologies for the wind, guys, because it might be a bit loud and interrupt certain parts of the video, but as you can see, Pete's with us again for previewing the playoff final, and obviously what a better way to do it than looking behind for the Bob Stokoe statue. It was last time we won at Wembley, wasn't it? So
yeah, I just hope we'll see similar scenes on Sunday with Jack Ross and John McLaughlin
lifting the League One playoff trophy.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, it's sad that we've got to this point, but anyway, this is where we are now. So how are you feeling ahead of Sunday then?
It's a 50-50 game. It's one of them occasions where I'm embracing it. It's not often you get to see a team play in a playoff final. I don't think there's many things in football bigger than the playoff final. So like I say, it's do or die. Win we go, lose we don't. So it's all on the line.
Pretty much. I mean, how would you, just to recap how we've actually got here, how would you assess the Sunderland 1 Portsmouth 0 and Portsmouth 0 Sunderland 0 games?
I think before we came on here, what you said was spot on. Probably two of our best defensive performances this season. The right team went through. I thought away from home it was an ugly performance, but a very, very good performance, and we managed the game really well and deserved to win. And I thought at home, when we went down to 10 men, Portsmouth, apart from when they hit the ball from a free kick, they never really looked like scoring. So I think defensively over the two games we were excellent, and going forward neither side were great, but I think the right team got to the final. That's for sure.
Well, that's fair enough. I agree with you in what you said, that I think when we managed the game, in both games we managed the occasion excellently, especially considering we went down to 10 men, and even given the fact that Portsmouth should have had about at least 2 players sent off in the second leg. Yeah. And I'm not saying that to be bitter, because I felt like one of the occasions a guy throws a ball at Maguire's head, a couple of our players got 2-footed tackle, at least one 2-footed tackle occasion, but that's by the by, it's happened now. But what you mentioned before kind of leads into what I want to do now. Basically I asked on Twitter if you want to have any questions for us, and we've had 3 off the top of my head so far, so apologies if you've asked since and we haven't got to it. But one of the questions was on defensive performances in Portsmouth. It was someone called Sam on Twitter who basically asked, it was someone called Eat Hummus One. Sorry, I keep getting names mixed up here. Should we start McGeady on Sunday? Because obviously the news comes in that McGeady's pretty much ready to play, or but, given that he's had a broken foot for the last couple of weeks. Basically, should we play him and risk upsetting the defensive sort of structure from the last 2 games against Portsmouth?
If McGeady's fit, McGeady starts. He's Sunderland's best player. You start your best players in all the time. If he's fit, it's an easy decision. I think I completely agree about you don't want to disrupt how the defensive shape and whatnot. I think I wouldn't change any of the back 4. I wouldn't change the midfield. I think the only change that I would make if he's fit, it would be McGeady. And in terms of who do you take out, it could be Power, it could be Honeyman, leave Maguire in. That's a conundrum. That's a hard decision for Ross to make. But McGeady definitely starts if he's fit.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of the same. I think it's also because I kind of get that point. I think I wouldn't complain with McGeady being on the bench just for that scenario, for that reason. That I think we need to be defensively solid early on in the game, because one of the issues last time we went to Wembley was that we pretty much took up most of our energy in the first half, dictating Portsmouth. We were shattered for the rest of the game, weren't we? We were absolutely knackered. Yeah. So I think as far as this game's concerned, we need to sort of make sure that we don't burn ourselves and run ourselves into the ground in the first half, and make sure that, worst case scenario, we end up, sort of being a bit, not conserved, not negative, but try and not use up so much energy in the first half, because obviously it could be a 120-minute game, and against a team as good as Charlton, it's going to take its toll. So for me, I don't know. Personally, I would start McGeady if he's fit, but I can understand the argument why not, why you wouldn't. Yeah. Then the next question from Sam this time was, should we start Grigg ahead of Wyke?
Don't get me wrong. If Grigg or Wyke were both one-on-one with the goalkeeper, who would you back to score? Probably Grigg. But in terms of how good Wyke's been recently, I don't think you can start Grigg. I think Wyke's been very good recently. I thought he was good against Portsmouth. I think he was good before that. He's found himself in a good run of form. Grigg hasn't. Grigg's been poor. So no, it's again, I think that's another simple decision. I think Charlie Wyke starts, and if the game's close, and what an option to bring off the bench.
Well, exactly. That would force Charlton to be a bit further, a bit deeper, wouldn't it?
But no, Charlie Wyke starts for me.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think as well that in the times in the game where we are going to have periods in the game where Charlton are going to absolutely dominate, and if we're going to try and be clearing the ball, Wyke has recently been an excellent outlet and output for Sunderland going forward, because his hold-up play, I don't know about you, I think Wyke's, I know we've both been very critical of Wyke this season, but I think his hold-up play recently has been excellent.
Oh, it has. He's really grown in the Sunderland shirt. He's got better as the weeks have gone on. Like you say, I think his battling and his ability in the air, something of which when he first signed by the side of him, I thought, well, surely you can be doing more than what you are. But like I say, the last 4 to 6 games, he's been very, very good. Hopefully now he can just chip in with a few goals when it matters the most.
I'm hoping so, yeah.
But everything else.
What occasion for him to score if he scores on Sunday, mate?
Absolutely, he's probably one of them players who deserves it, because he hasn't had the best of starts life in the Sunderland shirt. Like I say, it's only now where he's finding his form. So yeah, Yeah, absolutely. I really hope he does the business on Sunday.
No, pretty much what you said about the form thing, I think is absolutely spot on. Because the first 2/3 of the season, he just, even when he played, he didn't look that good. But I think the last 2 months of the season, I think he's looked a real asset for Sunderland. Even if he doesn't score, I've said in previous videos countless times, he's vital to the way that we play, I think. So for me, yeah, I probably would start him ahead of Grigg. I wouldn't complain if people did start Grigg, because ultimately you need your best finishers, you need to score goals. But I think that Grigg is a perfect option to bring on, because like I said, if Charlton are going to be forced to think twice about going gung-ho, especially if we're winning, Grigg's an excellent option to bring off the bench.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
and someone who could hit them on the counter and score.
Yep.
But anyway, and the last question, this is the one probably talked about the most. Someone called Sean Middleton, and thanks again, guys, for all three of you for asking the questions here. It was basically questioning it was talking about the Daily Mail article. Now, you haven't had time to read it, but basically the gist of it is that the article suggests that Donald and Methven used £32 million allegedly of parachute payment money to buy Sunderland from Ollis Short in the deal that had the takeover be facilitated a year ago, and only allegedly again only £5 million of Stuart Donald's money has been invested in the club. So they're kind of talking about that they could make an easy profit if they went and sold the club like this summer and do whatever. So basically he was asking, is the timing bad, and what our thoughts are on the article. So based on what I've just said, what would your thoughts be on that?
In terms of what you've just said, I don't think that's much different to what we already knew. Short's made it clear. Sorry, it's not Short, thank God.
I know, please God.
Donald's made it clear from the beginning. In terms of a League One budget, we've got a very good competitive budget in this league, and probably in the Championship, depending on where we were.
Well, what the aim is.
What the aim is. So I don't think it's much different to what we already knew. I think Donald said himself, if he probably couldn't take Sunderland to the next level, although he would like to, if that were to happen, he probably would need to get investors on board. But as I say, that's old news. That's what we already know. I think that's probably just the media trying to stir a bit of drama ahead of what's a big game. In terms of, is it the wrong timing? It's one of them things. The players have just got to go on the pitch and do the job and beat Charlton. They can't look at that. So no, I don't think it's any different to what we already knew. He's looking for investors, isn't he?
I mean, and then Daily Mail are doing their quote-unquote job, because this is still the Daily Mail. They haven't had the best reputation of publishing stories and sort of being accurate with their information. As far as I'm concerned, I think that I'm with you. It's like, it doesn't affect really my outlook on the whole situation. If the article also claimed that Ollis Short agreed to have parachute money make up the whole sum of the deal. So if he agreed to that, then I don't see what the issue is. No rules apparently have been broken, so I don't see what that is. As far as with Donald and Methven, yeah, of course they're going to want to come into the club to make money. You know, I think any successful owner is going to want to do that. But what they have done, what the Daily Mail has neglected to point out, is the overall mood and feel around the place this season compared to the last 2 seasons alone. You can't compare them, can you? It's two completely different scenarios.
Well, absolutely, yeah. Like, since they've come in, fair enough, we didn't go up automatically, but one thing they have done well is they've connected the club with its fans again. They've given the club an identity. We all like going again. Fair enough, no one likes the league we're in, but in terms of we're proud of the club again, I think that's I'll speak for the majority of fans when I say that. But no, like I say, football is a business, and if they were to sell the club, then I do honestly think they would only sell it, obviously, with the benefit of themselves as well as the football club. I mean, if they sell the club and they sell it to people who can take us to the next level, then hey, that's no complaints from me. They've done a very good job. Whether we get out of this league or whether we don't get out of this league, they have given Sunderland fans their football club back again.
Exactly, that's the whole point. Even if we don't get promoted, fans will be rightly disgruntled, because I'll be hugely disappointed and quite furious at times that we didn't get promoted. But at the same time, I'm not going to let that overshadow what the two have done this year, especially considering the mess they took over when they inherited the club as well.
I think if we don't go up, I think it's a disappointment, because but I speak for every relegated club when I say that when you go down, your target should always be to bounce back. In terms of like what you've just said there about so many players wanting to leave, he's had a major job on his hands to get everyone that he brought in, persuade people to stay. So yes, in that aspect,
Is Jack Ross you're talking about?
Yeah, in that aspect, he's done a very good job. But at the same time, as I say, with the budget we have, you would expect someone to get promoted. So it's one of them things. They win, no one will bat an eyelid, but you lose. It's one of them things, isn't it? So
well, let's move on to the final bit of the video. Actually previewing Sunday. So, what would your thoughts? Just quickly on Jack Ross, as you mentioned him. What would your thoughts be on him this season? Like, obviously for me, if we do get promoted, I think he's done fantastically. Like you said, when we only allegedly had 11 players at the start of the summer, given that 10 of them allegedly again wanted to leave, and Ethan Robson reportedly wanted to stay. If he's turned them around, he's turned McGeady around, he's turned Oviedo around for this season, he's turned Catamol around. You know, I think he's done. I think even if we don't go up, I think he has done a hell of a lot. He's had a lot to contend with from the start.
Yeah, no, he's done a good job. I'm not one of them people who's fickle and says, after a few bad games, I want him out. Where my stance is exactly the same. Is if we don't go up and we lose on Sunday, as a lot of people have said, I'm the same. I would give him so many games next season, maybe 10 to 12 games next season,
get top of the league, really.
Basically, yeah. But also that also applies in the Championship as well, because I don't think if we are successful on Sunday and we win, and next season we struggle, I don't think we can afford to come straight back down again. So whether we stay in League One or whether we go up, I'm the same. I'd give him the first again, whether that's the Championship or in League One. I'd give him the first 10 to 12 games in whatever league we're in next season.
I'd probably be more lenient on the idea of keeping Ross more long term if we win the Championship. I do think that I'd give Ross certainly the first third of next season, whatever happens. Because
I think December.
Yeah, because I think especially if we're in League One, I think that I think next season, I'm not saying it's an excuse for this year, I think that next season you've got the whole bedding in period and players getting used to each other. I think that there's no excuse for that next year. The players will know each other, and I think if we go out and get key players and key signings and key positions that we need, then I would fancy us to do really well next year.
I think at the moment he's done a good job. Just Sunday's result depends whether that's very good.
Well, yeah, whether we view the season as a success, it's judged on Sunday. So the final thing is, I'll ask you this last question: what would your team be? Well, two last questions. First of all, what would your team be for Sunday, if you had to pick? And both scenarios, with or without McGeady.
I think it's a very hard question, because I think obviously it would be McLaughlin in goal, then it would be O'Nien, Ozturk, Flanagan and Oviedo. The definite two in midfield would be Catamol and Grant Ledbetter. In terms of the midfield, if McGeady's fit, I'd probably bring in Honeyman. Sorry, I'd play Honeyman probably in midfield with them, and out wide I'd probably have McGeady, Maguire and Grigg. Not that I want to drop Power, because I think Power's been good recently, but realistically Honeyman isn't going to be dropped at Wembley, and also, like I say, you want your best players to start, so I want Ian McGeady in the starting lineup. So Power makes way and McGeady comes in.
Okay, and would Power start if McGeady isn't fit enough to start?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough then. I think my team, I will quickly mention what you said about Grant Ledbetter. Is amazing that he's even playing at the minute, given what's happened with his man. Absolutely credit to, if he's somehow, he's not going to be watching this, but anyone associated with Ledbetter watching this, credit to him. What a player he is. For my team, on point, McLaughlin, I think McLaughlin the same back four as you. I think Catamol and Ledbetter, depends what formation you play. If I would go for a 4-2-3-1, I've Catamol and Ledbetter. I think those two, given the experience they showed down at Fratton Park, they have to start. And if McGeady isn't fit, I'd start Morgan, probably Maguire, and then maybe Honeyman behind Wyke. But then again, if McGeady is fit, I'd drop Maguire to the bench, because I think Maguire could be a great player to bring on. It's just a catch-22 situation, because Maguire could relish these type of games, but he's also an impact to bring on. Yeah. So I would say if McGeady is fit, McGeady, Morgan, and probably Honeyman behind Wyke. In fact, whether that was what Jack Ross does, I don't know. But the final one is: do you think we'll do it on Sunday? If asked right now.
I can just hear the Champions League music in the background at the moment.
Yeah, for some reason, somewhere the Champions League theme's being played near the Stadium of Light. Maybe that's foreshadowing 5 years, hopefully.
Unless that's the new League One playoff final music.
Oh no. Well, if that's the case, what a way to motivate yourself.
I think it'll be a very, very good game. I think it'll be a very tight game. I think Charlton are a very good side with some very good players. I don't know if I'm saying this because we've got to win at Wembley at some point, or you feel like it's kind of fate, don't you? The way it's happened, the last two relegations is destined for Sunderland to go up in the most dramatic of circumstances. But then again, it is Sunderland, isn't it?
Okay, my final one, I would say.
So I'd say two. If you're asking me who do I think will win, I'll say Sunderland will get over the line and we'll win 2-1.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Charlton won.
No, absolutely not.
But
no.
I do, because I think Charlton are a good side. Although I did think they looked quite average against Donny, but they could say we didn't look great going forward against Pompey. To finish with the Champions League theme, there, I'll say Charlton 1, Sunderland 2. Come on, lads, let's do it.
Are we the lads?
And hopefully we'll do it. See you later.